I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. Many come and go, this life in this rap game. I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. I just wanna get paid, you can have fame. I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. Many come and go, this life in this rap game. I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. I just wanna get paid, you can have fame. What's good? I'd like to welcome everybody back to another edition of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your host, D. Dot. Today's guest is actually going to be DJ, producer, and sound designer by the name of Shadowbear, or you may know him also as J1 Star Beats, Bear House Music. But I've been following him for quite some time on Instagram, and I've seen Shadowbear go from like using anything from iPad apps to the pocket operators that's made by Teenage Engineering. And Shadowbear is currently using the MPC One as well for his production. So we're just going to talk about his journey creating music and more. And if this is your first time tuning into the Major Music Lounge podcast, I like to have conversations with other music creators similar to what we're going to talk about today. In addition to that, maybe you have experience as far as like getting placements for film and television, or maybe you, as an artist or a producer, you're a content creator. If that is what you do, please reach out to me. You can follow me on my socials at d._major music. That's going to be Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And you could also follow me at d.mme. And that is going to be on X or Twitter. And if you like this interview, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button. It does help this channel. Now let's go ahead and get into the interview. All right, we're back with the Major Music Lounge podcast, joined by DJ and producer and content creator as well, Shadow Bear. Most of you also might know him as J1 Star Beats, but great to finally have him on a Major Music Lounge podcast. Been following his work for quite some time. Even like I had an old Instagram account that, I had actually gotten shut down at one point and, even crossed over from there. So, it's been a while, man. And, finally glad to have you on the show and get a chance to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. First and foremost, what's been good with you? How have you been lately?
Oh my goodness, like it's like things been good. Like I would say for for most of my life, from the good and the bad times, like this year has been like it's been great because it's like, you know, there's times where you find yourself into some, so a little bit of adversity, and it's like you have an opportunity to try to, you know, to understand what's going on and to be able to find a ways to acknowledge it and be like, okay, but I'm still going to move forward. And that's one of the things that I did this year, which is like I know it's going to be difficult for many people to do it, but it was one of those things where I had to do it myself. It's like it's very grateful. It's very humbling, and it's one of those things where it's like even like there's still ways to go, but it's like, wow, I was actually able to accomplish this, and it's like, you know what, we gotta keep it going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I can totally relate to that as well. Like, it was a pretty tough outing, for myself most of last year and a lot going on and still finding ways to create, and just contrasting back to 2024, I think things have gotten much better here. Still, trying to find my way in certain aspects of life, but like you said, you got to keep it moving. And I'm just glad that yourself, you're on the right path yourself, and just got the positive vibes going with you. Can kind of tell from just seeing, you post a lot of your work and a lot of your content that you're doing. And just, continue doing so, man. You're doing a really good job with the content, the music as a whole. Now to get into some of your work, like when was it in life that you got into like, wanting to be a music creator?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. So, once upon a time, we were kids in school and stuff like that. Like, okay, middle school, you listen to the songs like back in our days, something in the 80s into the 90s. So it's like, hip hop at that time, it was just so experimental and like had different styles all over the place. But we didn't have the internet back then. So like whatever wherever you was at, whatever the reach of your radio, that was about as good as it was going to get. But we still was able to like, understand, yo, this is something that's good. So then you get to high school, and all of a sudden, you see people going to the band. There's people that are good with instruments, stuff like that. But then it's like I never really got that. But it was like, as far as I ever got was like beating on the desk on drums in school and stuff like that. But as far as going, now sure there was time where I was wanted to be like, you know what? I don't want to be in the band. I never got in the band. Like there's times where I see the band, in my high school and they're doing all this stuff with the drum line and stuff like that. And it's like also I always wanted to do, but never really got a chance to do it. And then at that time, people be like, hey, if you, it was one of those gatekeeping things where it's like, if you can't play an instrument, then you're not a real musician. If you can't, do that, do this or do that, you're not a real musician. And it was like, at the time, it was like, well, okay, it is what it is. So fast forward from that time of high school to my very first deployment in Iraq. So I can remember that one day. So we crossed the border from Kuwait and we get over to Iraq, and it's like you just see like everyone running in front of you because they're so hungry, they want to like give you food and stuff like that. They want food, and they're like literally running in front of like big heavy trucks, and you're trying to like dodge and bob and weave the serpentine. And the one thing I can remember from that day, we take the clover leaf and it said Baghdad on there. And that time it was like this wasn't the game. This wasn't nothing where it has a checkpoint. Yeah, they have checkpoints, but there was no respawn. There was no resave. There was no nothing. And so the only thing I could think of is like I got to be on my p's and q's. I got to stay alive. I got to do anything and everything that I can. And so like for my driver, like he had a CD player. He had a bunch of CDs, and I was like, hey, listen to your songs, smoke them if you got them. Because I was up in the hatch, just being on patrol, so I couldn't hear anything but the radio. And so what I did to kind of keep myself alert, like I thought of like every song that I could remember from like start to finish. Some of the things was kind of incomplete, but it was like however I had it in my head. So I was like, looking left and right, staying on patrol. And when I was doing that for like, days and days on end through like the beginning of the deployment. And so then one day, we go out, we do, a little mission run outside, and all of a sudden I started playing some songs in my head that I never heard of on the radio. Like literally, I was making up songs as I go for different situations. Like if we were just get ready to go outside the wire, had my little, prep songs, stuff like that. Then we're outside the wire. It's like, okay, this is your like exciting theme song. One, we're in a different situation. It's kind of like something like a video game where, video game music. Like if you go to a shop, there's shop music. You go outside, there's outside music. You fight a boss, there's like boss music and stuff like that. And it was like that was just in my head. And I didn't understand what that was. I really didn't understand. And so then like, okay, long story short, we finished the appointment, spoiler alert, I'm still here. And, a few years later, I go into another deployment. And once again, that started happening. Now, mind you, the first time I deployed, it was 2003 to 2004. So, the internet was still an ongoing thing. It was still kind of slowly building. So when I deployed the second time in 2008 to 2009, at that time, YouTube was finally kind of got a couple of years in and stuff like that. So at that time, we actually had like decent internet on our bases. So I was like, like, what's going on and how can I make something like this reality? And then that's when I went on YouTube and I found this one content creator called Boy in the Band. And he literally was like, okay, I'm going to show you how to make this type of genre song in 7 days. So it was like day one, the drums, day one, the bass, day two, the bass, day three, the different type of elements, and then all the way to like day six, where it's like, okay, we're gonna mix and master, and then day seven, here's the song. And so from there, I was like, all right, cool. Now that was the first time I saw like, because before then I didn't really have any care about a computer. But then once I saw that and I came back from the second time, it's like, all right, I'm gonna give me a computer. So it's like, got a computer, got Reason 4.5, and then I just started just making things up. You know what I'm saying? Like Like, of course, it didn't like if I would play it now, it might not sound like some, but you'd hear the idea of like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm having a good time. I'm figuring this out. This is fun. This is awesome. So that's from like 2009, and it's like 10 to 11. So then then to another 2 years later, they're going to another deployment. Now this deployment this time, I'm putting some, I got some music going on. I'm learning reason. I'm in the whole musical journey, and so then we go to like different places in this time in Afghanistan, and I end up being site security in the Kabul airport. I was actually top of site security, and from there, this was coalition forces where you have NATO folks, and this is cool because like I met one of the people that worked over there with the site security. He was a Belgian soldier, and like one of the person that was in charge of me, he was an Italian sergeant major, but both of them were DJs. And so they taught me how to DJs. And then that was like my first time of like, okay, because when I thought of DJ, I'm thinking like, DJ Jazzy Jeff or, Jam Master Jay, like those guys. But I didn't realize that the whole thing of the phenomenon of you can be a touring DJ across the world where you admit put out your own songs where you can other, spin songs with your homies and stuff like that. And like they showed me like a DVD of Tomorrowland. And I was like, wow, that's absolutely possible. And so from there, I was like, you know what, I'm going to DJ. Now, at that time, I didn't have anything. I finally had got me a MacBook Pro, but I didn't have any DJ software. So of course, I went and got the virtual DJ, but virtual DJ was like it was limited. I went and tried to buy something, but then I bought the Pro version. And then a cool thing that I did, but it kind of blew up in my face because I didn't have no DJ controller. So I had my I had my PlayStation 3 during that deployment, but it finally broke it, finally kicked the bucket. But I had a Street Fighter 4 arcade controller, buttons and everything. And so I was looking on the internet, and it had this one program where you can use that as a MIDI controller. So that's exactly what I did. I put in the program, and I set the buttons up, and I was DJing with it. Like I was doing Shoryuken, and it was like mixing tracks left and right. I'm pushing these different buttons for combos, and I'm using cue points, I'm beat juggling stuff like that. Like it was fun until I realized that like, okay, I don't have to go do Microsoft Word, and I couldn't get it to start. Like there was like 90% of my MacBooks programs didn't start, and I didn't realize that the actual app that I used to make the controller work was corrupted. So I had to uninstall. And once I uninstalled, everything went back in order. I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because you know what I'm saying. Like that happened to a MacBook. That's nightmare fuel. And so then I was like, oh, all right. So I got the chance to go R&R, and at that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to get Tractor. I'm going to get a real controller, stuff like that. So then this is where I got introduced to iOS apps as using form of music. So I'm like, at this point I had this money. I'm like, all right, I'm finna get ready to give me a controller and stuff like that. I might not bring it back to me to the, in the middle of Warzone, but like as soon as I come back to Warzone, I'm gonna get hot. So I'm looking on YouTube, of course, surprise, surprise, and then I see this one video where this individual, he was controlling the Tractor DJ program on his MacBook, but he wasn't using the controller. He had an iPad, and he had this program called Lima, and he would and the cool thing about it was wireless. Like he literally found a way to make his own Wi-Fi, and through the Wi-Fi he was able to just walk around and just make songs. I just thought that was just the coolest thing ever. And so that's when I went, it's like, I'm gonna get an iPad, and then I also got an iPod Touch because it was like, well, this, like, I didn't even have an iPhone yet. So it was like, this was like my introduction to going to iOS and going all in. And so I got the Lemur, I started making my custom layout for DJ. Like I did all this stuff, like literally like the time flying back from the United States back into the war zone. By the time I got to like one stop, like I already had everything set up to basically do it. And so when I got back there and I showed my Belgian friend and my Italian friend what I was doing, their jaws just dropped to the floor. I'm literally just walking around, just mixing songs, and they was like, because they're real legit DJs. They were on the actual ones and twos, the 45s, and the whole 9 yard, and they were just. And then the cool thing about it was I was able to like DJ in one of their sets, and they say like I'm one of the first Americans to DJ, and when I was doing it, everyone was just like wow. Like, I mean, of course, you got the folks that's like, you're not a real DJ, stuff like that. But I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
I heard that, I've heard that narrative. So it's like, you know what? But everyone else who just thought I was that's the coolest thing ever. So when I got back from that deployment, I'm like, okay, what else can I do with these apps? And so here's the funny part. So Christmas time, 2012, I go in there, I spend pretty much all my money on vanilla Aria. I pretty much buy everything. I buy all of the fan filter stuff. I bought like the samples. I bought like DSP. Like I bought like everything that you like, pretty much everything in Aria. And so then January 2nd, 2013, I'm like, all right, I can make some music. And you know what? I didn't know how to make sound out of it. I turned it on. I didn't know how to make. I didn't know how to get a sample to come out. I didn't know how to make sound. I was like, my heart was like, oh no, I spent all this money. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so then I had to go and do some research. And then that's when I found the app Audio Bus. I loaded Audio Bus in, and then I went and got Beatmaker 2, and I finally got sound. I'm like, ooh. I was like, oh, you do not know how relieved that was. And so then all of a sudden, that's when I was like, all right, we're now going. And the cool thing about it was like, even though I had a MacBook, and even though I had Reason 4 and then eventually got Reason 5, and even though I was going on to like YouTube, after YouTube videos, stuff like that, where I got the growth and where I started learning more about music was once I started using the iOS apps, because
Right.
it was like everything was hands-on. It was like, okay, here this right here represents, using the parameters for EQ, a compressor, for delays, for automation, like anything that you can do on actual DAW. And I liked it better because like with a DAW for me, I think what I've realized is like, yeah, I could go and use a mouse and just mouse everything right there, but it was like I prefer hands-on. And
Yeah.
that's what iOS provided me, that whole hands-on experience, to the point to where like that was then to where now I finally got an MPC. But that was all because I've been all these years been going hands-on with iOS. It was like hands-on with like synthesizers, hands-on with like different
Yeah.
effects and things like that. And that's been pretty much what I've been doing. And it was like, and from there, instead of just being like, okay, I just make one type of music, I was making different types of music, because it was like I now understood. Because it was like, and then the cool thing about it was I can take it anywhere with me.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to necessarily be like how back in days where it's like, I'm driving them at work, I got this idea in my head, then I go home and it like just go blank. Now it's like if I have an idea, all I gotta do is like, hold on. All right, let's get this popping and just go from right there. And that was kind of the biggest thing that was like the bottom, the thing that sold me on iOS music. Like, granted, yeah, it might not be desktop Serum or desktop, Ableton or
Yeah.
desktop FL Studio, but it was one of those things where I used it as a tool to be able to understand music, understand sound design, to the point to where like if I got to understand the fundamentals to it and the basics of it, to the point to where it doesn't matter that I don't have Ableton. It doesn't matter that I don't even have a computer at all, or a desktop computer at all.
Yeah.
All thing that matters is if you put me in front of any of these programs.
Yeah.
Oh, it has a piano roll. I know how to use that. I learned that from my iPad. Oh, it has a EQ, a compressor. Oh, I've used one of those. I had it on the iPad. Oh, it has automation. Once again, learn that on iPad. Oh, it has this type of synth. It got these parameters. Oh, I can make something out of this. Boom. And you're like, where you learn that? Learn that from an iPad. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is like, I think that was the whole beauty of going through that whole process. And then ever since then, it helped me out, like, sound design. Like, and currently right now, like I'm getting back into DJing with it, because it's like, because like with this technology is it's expanded. Like now we got stems, like stems, and now on MPC, stems is now
Yeah.
on different types of dolls, and now, but it's been on like on the iPad and iPhone, and it's like that opens up like a whole new world of opportunities. Like one of my biggest philosophies is you can make sound with sound. That's philosophy number one. And then philosophy number two, which some people might get upset about, is everything's a sample. What I mean by everything's a sample is like, okay, you got your Moog software system. That's just a bunch of samples.
Yeah.
Zero. A bunch of samples that you can kind of multiply the sounds and then make them blend together. Silence, Like anything that you can say is pretty much a sampler. You know what I'm saying? And like even and like when you think about it like that, like some people might take it the wrong way and be like, oh, samples is bad and stuff like that. But it's like, no, don't think like that. Like think about it the whole of like you got different types of frequencies, and what you're doing is you now can take those certain parts of those frequencies and you can just move them and massage them until all of a sudden you got yourself like now a sweet spot. And then you got different types of sweet spots all over the spectrum, all for just one sample. And the sample can be anything. It can be a snap of a finger. It can be somebody sneezing. It could be somebody yelling, somebody singing. It can, oh, and of course, it could be like any song and stuff like that. But it's like once you realize that, like that's where it just seems like you just don't have enough lifetime to do everything that's it. Like because we all have a music station in our hearts and in our hearts and in our minds. That's what I believe. Like everyone has that. Like some people they figured it out, or not say figured. Some people they discovered it and they're like, hey, how can I make it tangible? And some people they just go along with it and they don't even know that that's what's actually happening. Like I'm just fortunate. They just like you're fortunate to be able to be like, hey, I got something in my mind. How can I make it? How can I make it tangible? It's kind of like you know what I'm saying. Like everyone writes differently. Like sure, the way you might write the letters in the alphabet is going to be different from the way I write letters in the alphabet. It's going to look totally different, but it's kind of still the same common goal is, hey, we're writing something which eventually can become a message, which eventually become a novel, and it can just expand from there. And that's like with sound and music in general, like that's kind of why I just get hyped up over it because it's like it's one of those things where there's a journey with it. There could be a message with it. It can be anything that you can put your mind to, or anything to where it's like, it's like, hey, this I just have this vibes that I gotta just do this. I gotta put this out. I got something to say, and you just do it. Now, the one thing that people get caught up with is that like everyone's got to be like, we got to monetize everything, which I get it. If you got something that you believe in and you believe that you can profit off of, hey, go ahead and make that money. But one thing that people got to understand is that not everyone's going to understand or comprehend the sounds that are being presented out right now. And I say that to say this because it's like think about, in the 70s, like and we go into these old record shops, old mom and pop shop, and we get all these records and we we put the needle down and we listen like, yo, this sounds like something, And I guarantee from in those times, they didn't realize that, hey, those songs would still be there lasting longer than they are.
Yeah.
And that they're using those songs and making something totally new. And so when you put that in perspective, like at this point, I just put something out like yeah, if I can make it profit, that's cool. But I'm putting things out because it's like, this is kind of a snapshot of what I was thinking of, but I was trying to make tangible. And maybe someone with a different perspective can see that and push it beyond. Would I be allowed to see it? I don't know. But the thing is, I put it out there, and at least it gives not just whatever my ideas a chance to go beyond, but it also gives someone an opportunity to start something where out of nothing, which it's actually something if that makes sense. But that's pretty much been like my musical journey, and like I enjoy it. Like music literally saved my life, as you can pretty much tell.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, just talking about your journey, like from the start, coming from the same era, because you talk about like '04 was kind of when that journey began around that time, but like that was it for me as well. And I mean, I remember being in like high school. I got out like in 2000, but like same thing. We used to beat on desk, and that was our drum machine, and then humming these melodies over the drums, and later kind of tying that into like iPad music production, for example, and speaking on how portable that was, that's where like you're right, a lot of times throughout the day you have these sounds or these concepts in your head. And I know for me, I can't bring my whole setup on a go, and
that's what iPad allowed me to be able to do is lay out these concepts. There's a lot of times I can open up BeatMaker, I could open up Logic, I can get something going in about 15 to 20 minutes, and I'll finish it, when I get home or whatever later on in the day. But as long as I can lay out my main concept, that's enough for me. But yeah, we had a very similar journey, even like, going back to talking about Reason. I started out Reason 3, Reason 4. I think it was like when I stopped using Reason for a short period of time, it was when I got on Logic 8, and then I also had an MPC 2000 Excel around like 2008, 2009 as well. So I used to use both Logic and that MPC, and then I eventually got into Machine. But a lot of people like even sleep though, kind of going back to the iPad music production, but I wish earlier in that span or earlier when started making music, that iPad music production was the thing. Because for me, it was mainly probably around '05, '06 ish, and that was the Reason 3 time, right around that time. And there was also GarageBand, but it wasn't nowhere near what it is today. Like GarageBand is another free app I think up and coming music creators should take advantage of on the iPad or iPhone, for that matter. But yeah, like for you, and I noticed you even using like a lot of teenage engineering products in the past. I remember you used to do some videos like on the pocket operators on some of them. And then did you had a SP404 too?
Oh no, not SP404, unfortunately.
No,
I'm
okay.
thinking to get one
But
later on.
MPC one for sure. But like question I wanted to ask, like for a new creator, um, what would you say that makes you want to use that new piece of hardware or try that new software? Because a lot of times some of the new creators, they'll see a lot of more established or more knowledgeable producers just using a variety of different things. Like my studio, of course, you see Machine, you see MPC, you see iPad with Beatmaker or Logic or whatever app that I feel like using. Even Koala, I remember used to use a lot of Koala at one time as well. But like where would you say, or what kind of gravitates you towards using, maybe that new DAW or that new app or that new piece of hardware? Like, what is it for you that pulls you in that direction?
Now, for me, like I said, it all goes back to being able to be like, okay, I now have that knowledge of being able to create music in however way that I want to. So it's like at the time with the iPad, it was one of the things where it's just a whole learning curve, and I figured it out. And through figuring out that learning curve, then when you start seeing, then all of a sudden you start expanding your vision and start seeing other people using different types of equipment, and you're like, hmm, I wonder how I would use it. And then you start doing and I started doing my research and started being like, you know what? I think I can make this work. And that was like one of the things of getting the MPC one. That's my very, very, very first MPC. You know what I'm saying? I know most people got the live or they come back in the days
Yeah,
with the old school MPCs. Like this is my very first one, and like I absolutely love it because it's like it gives me one of the opportunities to basically to be more hands-on with the iPad. Like, the iPad taught me how to be hands-on. And so now with a lot of these devices that give you hands-on, they're kind of still a computer but it just look in hands-on form. I'm like, you know what? I can go ahead and do that. So it's like if anything that looks new, it's like, hey, let's do my research, let's see what it offers. And then if it's something that, you know what, I can rock with it, I'll try to see if I can find a place to test it out. And then if it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And for one of the cool things about a lot of a lot of the things that we have is like you can as long as you can record it, as long as there's a way to record whether it's in that machine or whether they have the cables that you need to provide the cables to record into it, like anything that comes out now, it's worth to try it out because it's going to be something new, it's going to be something different, and it might be one of the things that because you got to think about it like this. Like I said, not everyone's going to be able to just pick up a guitar and just play like Prince. Not everyone's going to get the drums and start, and start doing all the cool things like the dude from Arsenio Hall. You know what I'm talking, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And then like, but it's like you like with today's technology, like you can now have the ability to have those ideas and like I said, make something tangible. And I know some people they'll be like, oh, well, the bar set low. And I disagree. The reason why I disagree is because even though a lot of stuff, just like how you refer to where okay, GarageBand is free, like that's one of the biggest resources that you can use right then and there if you have an iPhone or iPad. But the thing is, you still have to put in the work. You still have to do the research. You still got to do the practice. Now, the thing about it is, it's like in the discovery phase. Like if you're just going with like an open mind and just blank canvas, like that. Then when you get something at the hands on, then it's like, all right, cool, that's what's up. And I think some people they get caught up in the whole thing of legacy of like this is what I learned on there and this is what I know and it's all that I'm going to know and it's because it got fond memories, which that's cool. What's up? Like for me, it's like I see something that's cool and it's like you know what I'm going to try it. And then if there's something else that's cool or so, like if it's something where I believe in my mind that I can use it, I can utilize it, and be able to convey the message that I'm trying to do musically or sonically, then I'm just going to go for it. And you got to think about it like this. What people don't understand is like as humans, we're going to change. We're going to change whether we want to or not, or whether we know it or not. Because before the homeless was like once I hopped on the iOS train, I was like, I don't need no computers no more. I'm not getting anything. I'm just do everything on iPad. But then over the years, it changed to, hmm, I know this. Let me try something else. And then when I tried the MPC, I'm like, yo, I can do things with it. And now like I use them both in tandem. Like I don't just be like, oh, I got an MPC and I'm just gonna just drop everything else. It's like and that's the cool thing. Is like once you have the knowledge of be like once I had the knowledge to be able to understand different concepts, especially for a DAW or DAW and stuff like that, like anything that I interact with, I know what to do and I can just be able to just go in and do it. And I think that's that's why like anything that's new, I'm just gonna be like, all right, cool, let's try it. Like if I don't like it, okay, then hey, at least I tried. And I think that's what many people like. It's hard to I wouldn't say it's hard to do. I think it's easier now because like back in the days, like your parents had to get you into those music class if you even want to get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
Or you had to be lucky enough to be like, okay, some teacher or somebody see that you're doing something like, wow, this person's got some raw talent. Hey, let's put them in this class. Let's talk to their parents. Now it's more or less of like anyone can make anything anywhere. Like everywhere is an absolute canvas. All you really need is a way to record it, and then a way to store that information, and then a way to kind of edit information. And I think like those are kind of like the basic things that anyone can do anywhere in the world. And when you start seeing and like I know you watch like go on Instagram, YouTube stuff, but it's like there's so many people just doing just cool things all over the world
Yeah.
with with way less. Like I literally saw like one person, he literally had like got like old circuitry that was like on the side of a river. He washed it up a little bit and he used it and made that his DJ controller. Like I saw that and I'm like that's what's up. It's like it's things like that. That's why it's like it keeps me inspired and just keeps me just I wouldn't say young again, but it keeps me, just energized to be like, hey, let's try something, let's do something. Like I said, it don't necessarily have to be like a full song or a full album. It can just be something where it's like I just made something cool and I just want to just put it out there. Because like I said, once again, if I put it out there, maybe at this time it might not make sense or no one's gonna actually see it. But later on, someone might see it and someone might, hey, I can build something off that. And then it just continues to go forward and forward and forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, um, for me, I think that using different DAWs and different like pieces of hardware and apps, it allows me to create differently, in terms of like workflow. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying as well. I may have a short period of time to where I can create maybe 15 to 30 minutes, and I could just open up an app and create, or even like from an MPC standpoint, I can just lock in. There's nothing as far as other distractions from, notifications or things like that from your PC or your Mac or your iPhone or iPad. So, and I like things about certain apps like the samplers, for example, in BeatMaker versus the sampler on Koala or the MPC, for example. So I think each DAW, each app, I mean, they all have their pros and cons. But I also encourage, maybe that up and coming producer to like focus on learning one or two, whether it's hardware, whether it's apps, learn it really well, and then eventually you can move on to something else with that. Now, aside from that, I remember you did some work a while back on the We Sample Everything podcast. I haven't seen the show for a while, but explain just that experience. Shout out to everybody on the show, Miss Led, um, uh, Beatmakers, the squad. Everybody on the squad. But what was that experience like?
So in that situation, like this was where I got into like some hard times and stuff like that, and it was just seemed like I was just kind of in a bit of a rut. And then Big Sis Miss Led, she was like, "Hey, you want to be part of the podcast?" And I was like, "Wow, I can." And I'm like, "Sure." And so that was just an awesome experience because it was like the four of us, we was just providing all type of information for different types of apps. And like we were there was a time where it was like, you know, might not be up there in the same name as like other content creators in the space of iOS, but it's like we was at that point where we was kind of in kind of same conversations with some people, and it was awesome because it was like we did contests. We actually did one of the coolest thing we had like one sample for producers like that was awesome.
Yeah,
Like we did different types of reviews. Like 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 it was an awesome experience. Like I love them for giving me the opportunity to be able to do that because it was like before then it's like I had all this information and stuff, but it was like it wasn't really. I wouldn't say it wasn't going anywhere. It was just that no one. I wouldn't say it was going anywhere. Where it was being exposed for other people, but it was like they gave me the opportunity to. They kind of like how you give me the opportunity to basically just talk about these things. And it's like I could talk about this stuff for like forever and stuff
yeah,
like that. And they basically gave me opportunity, a space to get on the mic and just start showing how like excited I was about these things. And it's like when I look at the comments, there's like hey, J1, he's so happy, he's so excited because like I get a chance to talk because like other than that, I don't really like in my city. I try to show people the things that I do, and like it's one of those situations where it's like people don't understand what's going on, and then until I actually show them, and then they're like, "Oh wow, that's cool." But it's one of those things where it's like they're so used to the whole traditional. You're okay. You're a traditional DJ. You're a traditional instrumentalist. You're like you have all this big stuff going on. You got like a car, like a truck full of all this equipment and stuff like that. Where me, I just literally just have a backpack with just a couple of things, and then I get going, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And then once I like, hey, throw the headphones on, then they're like, "Oh wow!" Where in that platform, people get to see that, yeah, we can. This is absolutely possible. That this is more than possible. Like there's like I've been to Korea and I actually DJed an event in Korea with only my iPhone, and it was a success. Like like things like that, and to be able to express that and be part of a team and a family from We Sample Everything, like that's was just part one. Like that was one of the things that, like I said, when I say that music saved my life, that was one of those situations. That was another situation where music saved my life. Like if she wouldn't have reached out to me, I don't know where I'd be in this world right now. I'm dead serious on that, and I don't mean to say it like that. Like if you cut that out, but it's like really, like thank you so much, Miss Lay. Thank you so much, Beatmakers Squad. Thank you so much, Dragonfly Pride. Thank you so much, Syph, for being part of the family.
yeah, yeah. I checked out a few episodes, and um, I remember getting even in some of the contests, the We Sample Everything contest. And I remember also like Miss Les, she was on a podcast, and we were trying to get, I was trying to get on the show at one point, but I always usually work on Saturdays when y'all would come on, so it would
Yeah,
never align. But I know a lot of the content is still out there, and for any of our viewers, our listeners, if you have a chance to, they have a YouTube with a lot of the We Sample Everything content, so go ahead and look them up. But it was great for like iPad producers. Even I remember like they would talk a little bit about hardware as well, MPC one when that came out. And even like I remember watching a lot of the shows when everybody was in during the kind of COVID time, because that's when everybody was doing podcasts and things like that. So that was kind of what got me through some of those times when I was here watching some of the We Sample Everything content. But yeah, definitely shout out to the team, and I hope to see you guys back up running at some point soon, man. Um, any plans like for yourself, like as far as any beat tapes or new music releases this year?
well, for this year, like I said, it's like I've been getting like a lot of things and like how things are increasing. With say you had the update from Logic Pro for iPad, and then like and also there's going to be that new update for MPC,
Oh
that
yeah,
software.
three.
So it's like that's giving me an idea. Like I've been trying to, and I've been telling. I was talking to the We Say About Everything now. Like I'm going to make an actual album where I'm actually going to sing. Because there's like I wrote some songs. I got songwriter abilities. Like there's some songs I really want to like put out, and I don't care how it shows up or how I'm gonna. I know I don't got the best voice in the world, but I wanted to put that out there
Put it
because once
out.
again, it's one of the things where if I put it out there, someone could be able to be like, "Hey, I could take this a little bit further." So I'm thinking of putting out an album where I'm actually singing because I got a few songs that I really wanted to just sing those, bring it out in the world, and then once I do that, that's one of those things where I'm not gonna say that's the end, that's everything. That's just one of those things where it's just something that's telling me I got to do this. And once I do this, like it's hard to explain. It's just one of those things where it's like it's my destiny. It's like I don't say it's a masterpiece, but it's one of those things where it's like it's strong. Like every day that when I don't do it, then someone reminds me of, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this, and it's like that's why I have all of this stuff basically to get this all set up. And I'm thinking like if it happens this year, that'd be awesome. Or I might just do singles left and right and stuff like that. But it's like I'm doing that. I'm probably gonna try to get a DJ residency in my local area and going from there. And then probably I might try to get into the beat making to a beat shop. But I wanted to at least get this song first because that's kind of like priority number one. And then from there, everything else will just fall into place.
Yeah, I can't wait to, see what that sounds like. Because one of the things I like about your work is you have a very diverse sound. Like you may produce some up tempo, uh, like almost kind of like dance or techno or house type of music, but then you can go back in the hip hop or boom bap space, and I just think that you're gonna come up with something really really creative, and I look forward to what that sounds like.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. Like that's why, like I said, I just love. I'm just a big fan of music in general. Like these days, if I find something new, it's like yo, it's like Christmas all over again. Because the thing is, what I didn't realize, and it's like I heard like on another podcast, it's like yeah, we've listened to the American music all our lives, but then you don't realize that there's other countries and other cultures that take the same ideas and do something totally different, and we barely even scratch the surface of even hearing those. And by the time we figure that out, it's like a lot of those music are lost because they might not have been kept up like we've kept up for the ones for our music in America. So it's like discover new things and all of a sudden you get new ideas. That's why like my music is all over the place. Like, yeah, one day I just get inspired to be like, hey, I want to be like Skrillex. And the next thing you know, hey, I want to go there and be like Pete Rock. And then all of a sudden, hey, I want to play a song like Garth Brooks and it's just go all over the place. It's like if I have like if I'm locked in and my mind's like, hey, let's do it, it's going to be done. And I'm just going to keep on doing that until, because one day we're not going to get the opportunity to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like the legacy doesn't always have to be written. It's just got to be there in some way, shape, or form. And that's what I believe.
Yeah. And kind of going to some of like your content, as I want to talk about that for a little bit as well. Um, I noticed you put out content pretty consistent. Whether it's a project that you're working on or even DJing. Do you like plan out your content or just kind of whenever that inspiration hits, you decide to create some content in the moment? Like, how do you go about when putting out some of your IG content?
So mostly what I've been doing in the past is like, okay, I come up with an idea and I'm like, hey, this idea is kind of good. I go in there, working on all. So like, you know what? This sounds good. I'm just gonna just put it out there. No reason why I put it out there is because if I wait on it and like, well, if I wait the next day, then now it's like, all right, now I want to try to mix and master it. But then that's kind of the boring part. It's like, okay, here's the fun part. Let's put it out while it's fresh, while it's fun. Now for the DJ part, that right there, I'm starting to kind of do that in like different types of days. Reason being because all the stuff I can kind of do like in one day, and so that type of content, I'll just spread that out because it's one of those things where like if I really wanted to, which I might start also doing, I might try to start doing like live streams where I'm doing sets. Now, my first set's going to be pretty much just all of my music because it's, like I used to have my music on on the distros and stuff like that, but it kind of took them down because like I said during the hard times, there was a time where I just couldn't really afford anything, and so it's like they kind of went away. So it's like I got music that I can literally just DJ a whole set with, and I was going to kind of do that one day, and then and from there. But that's kind of what I do. Like if I'm in a spur mode where like I'm on the NPC and it's like okay, this is good. I'm just gonna just go in and just get it done. But if it's something like say with DJing, I can just do bits and pieces of that. Now what I probably might start doing is start doing more of that like with the NPC and the machine plus because it's like I especially when the software 3 comes like software 3, I
Yeah.
can't wait for it to come out. Like there's gonna be just so much it's just gonna just open up. But it's like one of those things like I think it's a combination of if you're in a spur of the moment, you feel like, hey, this information or whatever your content or your body of work you need to put out, just go ahead and just put it out
Yeah.
there. But if there's something where like that you can wait a few days and stuff like that, like and I think it's one of those things where it's something to work. I would say it's a case by case basis. Like you can have the feeling where it's like, hey, I need to put this out right now and just put it out now. Then there's some situations where, you know what, I can spread this out and then do it like that. Because that's the thing with trying to keep up with the algorithms. Like they want you to keep posting, but they don't want you to like post like 20 things off in one time. Now sometimes if you got the feeling to do it, then I mean, sure, you do you, but they basically want you to at least get something, try to get something once a day and stuff like that. And then the thing about it is like post anywhere, post everywhere, because you never know. Like okay, it might not be doing well on one platform, but then it could be just doing crazy on another platform. And then even if it's not even doing anything crazy, the whole principle is this gives me more opportunities to put something out there that someone could be like, hey, that sounds cool. I can build off of that. And there might be someone in this platform that might figure it out, that might be like, hey, I'm gonna do that. Or there might be someone on YouTube that might be able to do it like that. Someone on Instagram, someone on Threads, someone on Facebook. So like, even with the new ones that's going to come out whenever they come out, the same thing. It's like, oh, a new platform. Hey, throw everything on there because you never know.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be ahead of the curve. Like I do a little bit of both. I think you got to have that fine line because, especially like with myself, like I do a lot of beat making videos, a lot of just beats that I upload, generally speaking. But I also do a little content on maybe news that breaks in the music production space. There might be something that's just trending online that producers are talking about or artists are talking about, and I might bring that to the podcast or YouTube. But there are times when I like to just plan ahead. Maybe I want to put out an informative video about something that I'm using, like MPC1, or I did some videos, for example, on stems recently for the MPC that just topic based videos. So I think you got to have a fine line between both, and I think people, they'll your audience will kind of learn to start expecting or look for both. Or when this happens, look for a video from D Dot, or whenever I come out with even some of the episodes of the podcast, they know to look for it on Fridays. So that's kind of the schedule that I stick to for things like that. But I am open again to kind of being flexible, because you never know when even that inspiration is gonna hit, and you might just have an idea about a video that might even be successful to you, and you might discover, okay, I might need to make more of those types of videos, so you continue to do so. So um now, you're also a gamer, and I want to kind of talk about that for a moment. What you playing right now?
Oh, so gaming. So I'm more of the fighting game for or the hashtag FGCs, the fighting game community.
Okay,
And so the games I'm usually playing are the fighting games. Like
okay,
my main game is actually Soul Calibur and
yeah,
Virtual Fighter. But the game that most people kind of know me for is Tekken. And so like the latest Tekken 8, like I play that game like for being 46 years old, I can still play the game. I'm grateful for that. And like I still I in like small tournaments, I kind of still do fairly decent and stuff like that. And it's awesome with what, especially with like today's music. Like as you saw, I was making the mashups with like
yeah. I saw it.
like that right there. That was kind of like I know that's probably been done in the past, but the only reason why I was able to do it from there, doing it now, and I just got a whole energization of doing it is because it's like it just shows that okay, I'm not just this one person that all I'm just going to be doing
Yeah,
is making music, I mean, yeah, make music, make sound stuff like that, but it's like there's other things that I can tie into it. Like okay,
yeah,
yeah, it's like hey, this Shadowbear, I mean, the only thing I see is just him showing his canvas of Logic Pro. Then all of a sudden now it's like, hey, this guy is actually jamming out the Missy what's this song? But hell, hey, it has Busy Elliott on there. And then all of a sudden now they're like, what's this song that they find this off of a video game? Now it's like, oh wait, that new Tekken 8 just came out. And then all of a sudden, like it all comes together. Like, and the cool thing about it is like today, like my good friend, his son would just got he flew over to the UK into a big Tekken 8 tournament and made second place out of like 450 people.
wow,
And I'm like, yo, that's awesome. Like at the time when you and I were growing up, like there wasn't nothing like that for us. It was like you go to the arcade and that's about as close of that event is going to get. If you get like a 20 game winning streak or you beat someone who said, oh, I'm unbeatable and stuff like that. And so it's like being like doing this, I want to also do that for the FGC community because it's like as I've seen over the years, like things that especially when they're starting to be more of an esports side, it's going to be like okay, there's opportunities where and some things where my idea is like what these gamers are now they're not only they're content creators and stuff like that. So it's like what's one thing that they would want to have, and what some of them that already do are already doing to go ahead of the power curve, that's have their own theme song. So
yeah,
it's like what I'm going to start doing, like for at least for my community up here in Jacksonville, start trying to make theme songs for our local players who are that are actually traveling outside of the town, outside of the state, and in some cases outside the country. You know what I'm saying? Just to represent, or even start doing things like say because these gaming events are now they're now big. You got corporates and big corporations behind them now and stuff like that. So it's like that's opportunities where you can make a beat for a gaming event. And if you start to, and then and so that's kind of what I've been like doing with that with video game because it's like I say I'm in the mid 40s, so it's like I'm not saying that I don't want to like I'll keep on playing the games until my hands can't do it no more, but I also wanted to do something to show the appreciation to the community that's been growing over the years and stuff like that, and it's like and like, so I go to places like say Orlando or Tallahassee and stuff like that. And like, some there's times I bring my stuff and just start, just making music and stuff, making beats, and just try to like, spread the word, show the opportunities and stuff like that. And it's like being able to put those things together, like at first I ain't never thought about it until I actually did it, and it's like this is just awesome. And that's the beauty of music. You can put music to but just about any situation, and it works. And for where it doesn't work, it doesn't necessarily mean music. If I brought it up and say sound, then that even makes even more difference because if you start going to the sound design part, then it's like it goes back to my whole philosophy. Like any sound can be made with sound. So it's like I've been heavily doing more things, more of like the video game themes and stuff like that. Like like there's places we have like say like 5 places in Jacksonville where either it's a barcade or a gaming cafe, and I just go there and just like there's times I just go there and just make some beats. Like there's even some videos on IG where I've actually done that, and it's like I talk with the managers and stuff like that, and like, hey, it's cool. So it's like I've been doing more of that, and just to do everything I can just to be, to continue to be an active part of the community. Because when you think about it, it's like everything that we do is going to be a part of some type of community. Now,
Yeah.
granted, in this day and age, the community can be just like this. Okay, you're facing me, I'm facing you on these cameras, and we're talking about things, providing information, sharing information, and then other people looking at this and getting the information, getting inspiration, and that's all community building. And we're not just one community; we're a part of many communities. And it's like, and then there's some communities where we might be part of that we don't even know we're part of until one day someone said, "Hey, this is what's going on," and you're like, "Wow!" That's why like this is like a great time to be alive because you can be part of so many communities, and the things that we do will contribute to it. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be something where like it's something where everyone's going to like it. It could be something where it starts off and then it becomes either word of mouth or word of sharing and stuff like that, and it just constantly just builds and everything is building the foundation, whether it be a grain of sand or whether it be a brick or whether it be the whole concrete in the middle of the steel. All those elements still builds the whole foundation and still builds the community, and that's what I'm just so grateful to be a part of.
Yeah, yeah. I always say like lean into a lot of the other things that you are outside of music as well because a lot of this intertwines like some of the things I do as far as being a sports fans that I've met people that I've connected with that also makes music. And it kind of goes, you never know, even within that space, what other opportunities, kind of like you're doing in your city, that it can bring with music or music creation or networking with other like-minded creators in your area or beyond. So, I mean that even being a gamer, because I still do it not as much as I used to, but like I might play a little Fallout or I have a couple other games I play from time to time, but it's just kind of a way, I don't know, sometimes even I might think of something music related while I'm playing. You just never know, but that's just how it is. Now going into the final part of our show, where can our listeners find you at on socials?
So all you gotta do is type up Shadowbear.904. I'll show up definitely on IG. Show up on Twitter. I'll show up on definitely on Threads. I started Snapchat. I also started TikTok. My YouTube channel, I'm actually in the works because I want to try to do a whole new, got to get a whole new logo and get everything. I'm gonna get that up and running. But as long as you type up Shadowbear.904, you'll find me just about anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and hit Shadow Bear with a follow on his socials. Definitely check out some of the content as well. Great content. A lot of the just beats that he's working on. Logic Pro. I've seen a lot of your Logic Pro content, a lot of your MPC content. Just constantly always checking you out. It's like I told another creator this one time, but every time I get on and post something, I just kind of look across the way and I see you posting something as well, and that's just kind of motivating for me. So definitely keep up the great work, man.
Oh man, but will do, man. Like I said, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. to be on your platform.
Oh man, not a problem at all. Anytime. I've been wanting to have this conversation for quite some time, and things happen, in life, and we finally made it happen after a long time, and just glad to have had you on the platform, and you're welcome anytime.
Yes, sir.
You can follow me on Instagram at d._major music. Same thing on Threads and TikTok. And you can follow me on Twitter or X at d.mme. And if you hung around this long for the end of this video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well as the like button. And you can catch new episodes of the Major Music Lounge here on YouTube as well as all podcast streaming platforms. It's D Dot and Shadowbear with another episode of the Major Music Lounge, and we're out.
Major Music.